Qigong is the skill or discipline of cultivating qi, cultivating life force. Hey guys, I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so that you can magnetize your ideal life. Make sure you grab my free ejaculation control guide. There's a link in the video description below. So Qigong versus yoga. In this video, I'm going to compare these two practices together. These are fairly common practices that people are doing, and people often ask me, what's the difference? What are the benefits of doing Qigong versus yoga and vice versa, right? And I'm going to get into that in this video. So I have been practicing yoga daily for about 10 years now, and I've been practicing Qigong daily as well for about 7 years. So I have a decent amount of experience with these practices, and I would say they both have their strengths and they both have their weaknesses. And I'm just going to kind of put them head to head together in this video and compare the two practices. So most people are very familiar with yoga. And usually when people think of yoga, they think of a specific aspect of yoga, which is asana practice, the practice of postures, right? Stretching the body, opening up the body. And often pranayama as well, which are these breathing exercises. And there's actually, a lot of different aspects of yoga, but typically when people talk about yoga here in the West, this is what they talk about, because yoga's become very well known here in the West. It's really kind of blossomed. There's a yoga studio on almost every street corner now, so it's become very popular. Qigong is a practice that comes from ancient China. So Qigong, qi is prana, it's the life force, right? Qi is the subtle energy flowing through the body. And gong is a skill, it's a discipline attained over a period of time in practicing, much like kung fu, right? Basically means the attainment of a skill or a discipline. And so Qigong is the skill or discipline of cultivating qi, cultivating life force, right? So it's a daily practice of getting in touch with that life force. So this is actually a very broad term that could even be used to describe some forms of yoga, much as the word yoga, means to yoke together, right? So it's the union. And we could even use that to describe a lot of Qigong practices, right? So the words to describe them are very vague and there's a lot of interpretation in between, but I'm going to focus on some of the more well-known aspects of these practices and compare these things. So again, most people when they're practicing yoga, they're doing asana practice. They're going through these sequence of flows, holding postures, stretching the body, breathing deeply. And it tends to be more of a physically based practice, because there's often a lot of tension involved. You're kind of using your muscles and stretching things out, opening up the body in that way. And it's great. It's a very, very beneficial practice. Again, I've been doing this for years. It keeps me flexible, keeps my body healthy and feeling good. But there's a certain limitation in yoga practice if you're looking for energy cultivation, right? And you go to yoga classes and they often talk about prana flowing through the body and opening up the chakras and things like that. But it's not usually enough to do that by simply, stretching the body and visualizing colors and things like that. There's often a much deeper aspect of energetic engagement, a skill to develop that. And that's where Qigong comes in. Qigong is a purely energetic practice. Now, I will say that there's a lot of different systems of Qigong. Some of them are much more physically based as well, much as there's more energetic systems of yoga, but typically the most well-known yoga systems are very physically based. So in Qigong, you often see these systems where they're just kind of doing these stretching type of exercises and calling them Qigong, which, it's fine. But to me, the real Qigong practices involve straight cultivation of qi, straight cultivation of the subtle energy. Now, there's certain engagements of the mind and body required to cultivate qi, to open up the energy meridians of the body. So there's all of these energetic meridians in the body. They're like rivers carrying the life force through the body, carrying the qi or the prana. And this is what we're getting in touch with Qigong practice. And it's one of the goals of yoga as well, but it's not as easy to get in touch with these when you're doing a yoga practice, because again, there's a lot of physical tension involved. Whereas in Qigong, one of the primary focuses is releasing tension from the body, engaging the mind and body in a way that you engage the flow of qi. And this often looks like these, slow motion movements, but it's much more than that. It's much more than a slow motion movement. There's a certain internal mechanic, which involves, it's called sung, sinking the qi. So you release all tension from the body. You drop your energy into the earth. So it creates this root. All of your tension leaves your body. This excess energy sinks into the earth, creates this root, and the earth energy spontaneously rises back up to fill the body. This is known as peng in Tai Chi practice. This peng energy fills the body, and that's what drives the movements. And causes this qi to course through the body. Also, an important aspect of Qigong practice is the development of what's called the Dantian. The lower Dantian specifically, there's 3 different major Dantian centers, the belly, the heart, and the head. But we start with the lower Dantian. And this is something that's not taught in yoga practices. This is a very, very important aspect of energy cultivation, because the Dantian in the belly center, the lower Dantian, is essentially the battery of your qi, your energy body. And if you don't have a battery, then you have nothing to drive your car, so to speak, right? So if you don't have this reservoir of qi in your belly, then you don't really have much qi to drive through your practice. So this is why most, traditional systems of Qigong development, they start with developing the Dantian. So once you have this reservoir of qi in your belly, you can start to mobilize it through the body, using movement. Breath is an aspect of Qigong as well, but it's much different than the yogic approach. The yoga breathing, pranayama, it's typically very forceful. It's like this deep, intense breathing, which is very, very beneficial. Don't get me wrong, but it takes a lot of energy to breathe in that way. The Qigong breathing tends to be much more effortless. You simply observe your breathing and you relax your body and you trust your body to breathe for itself. And as you observe your breathing through deep meditation, it starts to naturally deepen your breath. It starts to naturally get deeper and start to come from the belly. So it's a different approach, forcing your body to breathe versus trusting the body to breathe for itself, observing it and relaxing it so that it can breathe. Just these subtle differences. So again, yoga has become so popular, especially in kind of the conscious community, right? People who are into self-growth, into spiritual development. But yoga, as most systems teach it, it's just very limited as far as truly developing your energy, truly developing your qi. If you don't tangibly feel like currents of qi flowing through your body, like it feels like liquid electricity or like this hot hydraulic fluid, it's very, very tangible when you get in touch with it. If you're not feeling that in your practice, then it means you're not cultivating your energy. Simple as that. So again, the limitations of yoga is that it's very physically based, right? And people often kind of transpose like mantras and like deities and like, talking about chakras, but sometimes that stuff's just talk. If you're not feeling the energy pumping through your body, then you're just not cultivating it. Simple as that. Which is why I got so into Qigong practice, because it seemed really silly to me at first. I'm like, how is just kind of flapping your arms around like that doing anything? Yoga's like, it's intense, you're breathing hard. It's much more, we have such a physical bias, right? Something has to look really like intense or cool for us to believe that it's actually doing something. So I had this bias for a long time. But once I actually gave Qigong a chance, I was completely blown away by the power of this practice. Again, the raw qi power that you cultivate doing Qigong, is incredible. It feels amazing. You get into this, quite frankly, orgasmic state where the qi is pulsing through your body. It becomes very tangible. You can feel it. You can feel it moving. And so okay, this is actually doing something. I feel my qi. And again, you can't really accomplish that when you're really tense, which, again, a lot of yogic practices are very tension-based. Using your muscles, kind of powering yourself around, because tension blocks the flow of qi. It creates like a short in the circuit, the energy circuit. Where there's tension in the body, the qi cannot flow freely. This is one of the concepts of Chinese medicine, is that these chronic patterns of tension lead to imbalances in the qi flow, and this can often manifest as disease. I think that yoga is an excellent practice. I think it's a great starting point, right? It starts to build discipline, it starts to build this mind-body connection. You start to connect with your breath and your physical body. But if you want to really take it deeper, I highly recommend having a Qigong practice as well. For me, the two go together extremely well. I think cross-training in yoga and Qigong is a really great approach to take, because again, my yoga practice keeps me very flexible. It keeps my core strength up, helps me kind of relax my mind and body, helps me kind of balance my mind and body. Whereas my Qigong practice helps me build raw qi power, like raw energy cultivation feels absolutely incredible. Like it gets you higher than any drug. Let's be real. When the qi is flowing through your body, you're opening up all these channels, it puts you in an altered state and it feels absolutely incredible. Now, there's a lot of other benefits to Qigong, health benefits. There's a lot of health benefits to yoga. Increases your circulation, improves the health of your organs, your digestion, and Qigong has a lot of these same benefits as well. In fact, one major health benefit of Qigong is that it improves the oxygenation of your blood significantly. Doing Qigong practice has been shown to oxygenate the blood even more than doing cardio exercise such as running. And because these slow motion movements allow the circulation to increase without placing an excess toll on the heart. The heart has to work really hard when you're doing cardio, and sometimes releases cortisol and things like that are undesirable. So another benefit of Qigong is it moves the lymphatic system. There's not a lot of practices that move the lymph fluid. It requires slow motion, relaxed movements, which Qigong and Tai Chi and things like that are perfect for, right? So those are some of the health benefits, which in my opinion are much more superficial compared to the very deep, raw energy cultivation, blow you off your feet, like send you to Pluto levels of energetic high. It's absolutely incredible. It's better than drugs, and that's why I do Qigong every day, because it gets me high naturally. One other point I want to make, there is some yoga systems that are well known that are a bit more energetic, such as Kundalini yoga. Kundalini yoga, you're opening up this spinal fire path of energy, rising that energy up the body. It involves very intense breath work and often intense physical motions as well, right? And so it's a kind of a forceful practice to kind of force the energy up the spine, blast it out of the crown, and you get really high from this practice, and it does kind of get you in touch with an energetic experience. But the difference between this approach and we'll say the Qigong and Tai Chi approach, in my opinion, Tai Chi is basically an advanced version of Qigong, which it does have martial arts applications, but first and foremost, it's an energy cultivation system. The difference is that in Qigong and Tai Chi, it's a full body activation of energy. You're activating your arm channels, you're activating your leg channels. You're usually standing in Qigong and Tai Chi, so you're connecting with that earth energy. It's very, very grounding. A lot of the yoga practices where you're only focusing on this spinal fire path, they actually can deplete your vitality. They tend to burn the adrenals, burn the kidney essence, to power these high spiritual states. And, it's fun. It gets you high. It feels good, but it's not very sustainable. I did Kundalini yoga for years and I loved it, but eventually I realized I was burning myself out. I felt very ungrounded, very disconnected from my physical body. And when I started practicing Qigong, I found that I got that same kind of energetic high state, but it was very grounded and it felt nourishing for my body. I could relate to the people around me. I wasn't like, oh, I'm in the fifth dimension of the astral state. You know what I mean? I was much more grounded when I started doing Qigong, but I could still tap into these high states. But again, you open the leg channels, you open the arm channels, you get this full body activation of blissful, powerful, calm, grounded energy, versus yoga, like when you really get that upward energy flowing, you become very spaced out. Sometimes you have a hard time relating to the physical realm, right? So Qigong and Tai Chi, it's like you get the full package. You get massive bursts of energy, but it's grounded. You can still live a life here in the third dimension, right? Without people thinking you're some weirdo, right? So these are just some of the differences, comparison, my personal experience in Qigong and yoga. Again, I think they're both great practices, but again, yoga is kind of more in line with the physical body and physical development of the body, whereas Qigong kind of takes it to the next level. You start to really develop your energy body, directly connect with an experience of channeling Qi, channeling prana throughout your body, and it's absolutely incredible. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Check out my Qigong playlist here on my YouTube channel. I've got some really great flows for beginners that you can do to start feeling this Qi moving through your body. Also, I'm going to be opening an online academy teaching these internal energy arts in great depth. I'm going to be teaching Qigong, Neigong, energy cultivation practices, Tai Chi, internal martial arts, which are geared towards energy cultivation, such as Tai Chi, Xingyi, Bagua. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you grab my free ejaculation control guide. You'll be on my email list so you know when I'm releasing that. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. Do you prefer to practice Qigong or yoga, or do you do both? I'd love to hear. Have a great day, my friends.